All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Floyd Mayweather Jr. signs Terence Crawford or else. Eddie Hearn speaks up about the circumstance. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Before we get into the video, thank you guys so much for continuing to support the channel. Also, make sure that you hit the bell icon. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already subscribed. Hit the bell icon so that you can get all notifications, and hit that like button before you exit the door. So let's talk about this. Eddie Hearn was interviewed and repeated something that he had said in the past about Terence Crawford and what Terence Crawford's options were going forward in boxing in order to see, you know, the big fights for Terence Crawford. Reiterated that he said something that what he said before, and this goes in right in line with, you know, what Floyd Mayweather Jr. had been saying and what people were saying that they need to see or they would hope to see out of Terence Crawford moving forward. So the short and skinny of it is Terence Crawford does not have a lot of options available to himself in order to make big fights down the road. Now, right now, he's embroiled in a lawsuit with Bob Arum of Top Rank over breach of contract. He's claiming that Bob Arum owes him money for some fights that were not made. Also, in supporting that argument, says that Bob Arum did not do a good job of promoting him, did not know how to promote him. So it looks like, you know, Terence Crawford took a flamethrower to that bridge over there at Top Rank, and so he's not going to be fighting for them anytime soon. Eddie Hearn, who is the head of Matchroom Boxing and is a guy that up until maybe a year ago would give $1 million contract to a can of tuna, said that he didn't have anything for Terence Crawford. He said Terence Crawford is a terrific fighter, great fighter and all that, but me signing him, it doesn't make any sense because really, what do I have to offer him? What kind of fights do I have to offer him? What can I do with him? So pretty much he says, hey, what you need to do is you need to go fight with the PBC, right? Now, Floyd Mayweather Jr. himself had also said that he would love, and this is literally the only promoter that I've heard say this, says that he would like to work with Terence Crawford, right? So you have, of all the major promoters, you have Bob Arum, you have Eddie Hearn, and you also at a point in time, I'm sure, if I recall correctly, Oscar De La Hoya doesn't have any interest in him, right? And even if he did, and if he did go to Oscar De La Hoya, that would be like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire as far as getting major fights done in the welterweight division, because the only person that has a worse relationship with the PBC than Bob Arum is Oscar De La Hoya, who makes absolutely no fights with the PBC because of the nature of their relationship. And I'm not even sure. I think that up until it was thrown out of court, Oscar De La Hoya was suing Al Heyman because a lot of the fighters, including Errol Spence Jr. And the welterweights that Terence Crawford could be fighting, used to all be signed to Golden Boy. So there's almost no opportunity for him at Golden Boy, except for maybe a one-off fight with Virgil Ortiz. There's no opportunity for him with Matchroom out of the mouth of Eddie Hearn. There's no opportunity for him over at Top Rank. And literally the only person that is saying that they would like to sign or they would like to work with Terence Crawford is Floyd Mayweather Jr. Even when you talk about the PBC, Tim Smith, who is the director of communications for the PBC, when talking about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, pointed to the fact that Terence Crawford had not been built properly by Top Rank, and he himself wouldn't even make an offer to Terence Crawford for a fight for fear of it being, him being an insult to him, right? Now, what would the insult be? The insult would probably be $1 million flat fee for a fight plus a share of a pay-per-view, which is what they've typically been offering, you know, from what what is publicly known of the contracts that the PBC has been striking with fighters lately. That's what Gervonta Davis had in his last fight with with Isaac Cruz. He got paid $1 million for that fight, and then he got paid a significant number, a portion of the pay-per-view and a significant portion of the gate, which for Gervonta Davis really sweetened the pot for him. But not sure what that would mean for Terence Crawford and a fight with with Errol Spence Jr. So really, the best option for this guy to have, and this is at this point in time when you're looking at the if you're looking at the options out there, man, thinking about it like a poker game, and look at what hands are out there, or better yet, spades, right? Right now, man, the only option that he has in this particular to play his hand is Floyd Mayweather Jr. And if he does not work out some type of deal with Floyd Mayweather Jr., I personally do not see what he's going to be able to do other than fighting some very, very tough mandatories that are coming down the pike for him, like a Virgil Ortiz or like a Jaron Ennis. And even those guys very well may say, it'd be easier for me to go to the WBA route, or it'd be easier for me to go the IBF route or the WBC route to get a title shot against Terence Crawford, which more than likely is going to be a purse bid situation because they don't have a major promoter really to promote the fight, right? So it just really seems to me and obvious that if Terence Crawford is going to really do something moving forward in his career, that he's going to have to kind of maybe tuck his pride a little bit and go with what the obvious play is here. And when Eddie Hearn says it, I believe him in this regard, man, because seriously, it wasn't maybe about 2 years ago that Eddie Hearn was signing pretty much anyone. And it also doesn't help Terence Crawford the job that Bob Arum did on Terence Crawford to make him unattractive to other promoters by basically going out there and saying, "Look, man, yeah, he's a terrific fighter, but I lose money on him on every fight," right? So if you got Bob Arum, your own promoter, out there in the wind talking about how you're losing money on this fight, you're losing money on that fight, who else is going to want to go out there and gamble to make a fight with him and be willing to pay him, a reasonable amount of money to do it? So, again, Floyd Mayweather Jr. looks like pretty much the only option for him. But also, in my opinion, it's a bright option because Floyd Mayweather Jr. and has a good relationship with the PBC, has a good relationship with Showtime. I doubt very much that he cannot get a good fight in a good situation, as good or a better situation for Bud than anybody else can. But at the same time, you got people in Terence Crawford's camp saying, Bud made all this money in his last guaranteed contracts, so Bud would not be considering that, doing that. If he doesn't, man, I'll put it this: that's to be a shame for boxing to have Terence Crawford go the way of Guillermo Rigondeaux and not get in the later portions of his prime, not to get these major fights, man, because I really do want to see him get those major fights. I'm not saying that he should sign with PBC or Floyd Mayweather Jr. to spite him or to hate on him, but it's just obvious that that's where those welterweights are. That's where all the fights that I personally want to see him fight, that's where all the fighters are fighting at. So it's almost like you have, somebody coming out of college and you say, like, where's this guy going to sign? Should he sign with the NBA or should he sign with the Beijing Ducks, right? He should sign in the NBA. He shouldn't sign with I don't want to see him play with the Beijing Ducks. I want to see him get in there and play with the best basketball players in the world, and that's in the NBA. And as far as Terence Crawford goes with the welterweight division and the 154-pound division, that's where the best fighters are. That's where the best fights are for him. So anyway, Eddie Hearn once again saying that he's not interested in fighting Terence Crawford just really puts the writing on the wall. And I hope that Terence Crawford makes that decision instead of just, waiting on this lawsuit with Bob Arum and then maybe just fading himself out and fighting whoever he can get in on purse bid situations with mandatory challengers. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.